Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, who am I really? Have you ever felt like you're wearing a mask, pretending, performing, surviving? If you've ever sensed that your life feels scripted, like you're playing a role you didn't audition for, you're not alone. Today, we're going to rip off that mask. This is your wake-up call. This is your invitation to stop living a lie, and finally discover who you really are. In a world obsessed with appearances, likes, filters, and fitting in, it's easier than ever to lose touch with our true selves. We chase validation, mimic trends, and silence the voice within us that asks the deeper questions. Who are you when no one's watching? Who would you be without fear, without judgment, without pretending? This video is not just a guide, it's a journey. Together, we'll uncover the lies we tell ourselves, the roles we play, and the powerful truth buried underneath. This is a complete guide to finding your real self. Let's begin. We begin by exposing the biggest lie of all, the one we live every day. The lie that tells us to blend in, to conform, to suppress what makes us different. From a young age, we're handed a script: be polite, get good grades, find a stable job, settle down. But have you ever stopped to ask, whose script is this, and why am I following it? Society rewards conformity because it's safe, predictable, and controllable. But the cost of fitting in is often losing yourself. The psychological conditioning begins in school, where obedience is valued more than creativity. At home, well-meaning parents project their unfulfilled dreams onto us. In media, we're bombarded with idealized lives that tell us who we should be. The result? We become actors in our own lives, performing instead of living. We laugh when we're not happy, say yes when we mean no, and pursue goals that don't align with our hearts. We become so entangled in these lies that we forget we ever had a voice of our own. But here's the good news: a lie can only survive in darkness. Shine the light of awareness on it, and it begins to dissolve. The moment you realize you've been performing is the moment you start reclaiming your power. In this segment, we'll challenge you to question everything you've accepted as truth. Why do you dress the way you do? Why do you strive for success, and whose definition of success is it? By questioning, we begin to awaken. We'll explore psychological theories like the false self, coined by psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott, and how trauma, shame, and rejection mold us into versions of ourselves that seek safety rather than truth. But safety isn't freedom. When you understand the lie, you're no longer trapped by it. This isn't about blaming society, parents, or institutions. It's about realizing that the path back to your true self starts with a single question. Am I living my truth, or someone else's version of it? By the end of this segment, you'll have a clear understanding of how these external forces have shaped your identity and how to begin the powerful process of shedding them. Next, we'll dive deeper into the clues that your life might not be aligned with your authentic self. Because once you see the signs, you can no longer ignore them. Sometimes, the signals are subtle. They show up in your day-to-day life. Waking up feeling drained, feeling like your smile is a performance, or sensing that your relationships are built more on roles than real connection. Living inauthentically doesn't always scream, it whispers, until one day, it erupts. Do you find yourself constantly exhausted, even after rest? That's often emotional exhaustion, not physical. Pretending to be someone you're not is one of the most draining things a person can do. When you're acting all day, at work, with friends, even with family, it creates a disconnect between your inner and outer worlds. Let's talk about people-pleasing. Saying yes when you mean no, agreeing to things to avoid conflict, or molding your opinions to match others, these are all red flags. On the surface, it may look like kindness or flexibility, but underneath, it's fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of being seen. Another major sign is imposter syndrome. That nagging feeling that you don't deserve your success, that you're going to be found out, is often rooted in not truly owning who you are. When your outer achievements aren't aligned with your inner self, they feel hollow, like you're playing a character who's winning, but you're not even sure you like the character. You might also notice an ongoing identity crisis. You're constantly changing depending on who you're with. With one friend, you're the funny one. With another, the intellectual. You can't remember the last time you just were, without playing a role. That's not adaptability, it's a loss of self. And then there's that quiet voice inside. The one you hear in your rare moments of solitude. It's not loud, but it's persistent. It says, "This isn't me." You might brush it off, distract yourself, or silence it with busyness, but it's always there, waiting for you to listen. In this segment, we'll break down the most common signs of inauthentic living, with real-world examples. We'll offer reflective prompts to help you identify where you've been compromising, suppressing, or avoiding your truth. Here's a powerful exercise. For the next 24 hours, notice how many times you do something just to be liked or accepted. Track when you say yes but want to say no. See when you edit your opinion to match the room. These tiny edits, done repeatedly, erase you. Recognizing these patterns doesn't mean you failed. It means you're waking up. Awareness is the doorway. And once you step through it, you begin to make different choices, ones that lead you closer to your true self. Next, we'll explore that self. Beyond the roles, beyond the fear, who are you, really? We live in a world filled with noise, external and internal. Social media, family expectations, peer pressure, self-doubt, cultural narratives. These voices compete for your attention and slowly shape how you see yourself. Over time, it's easy to mistake those voices for your own. You start to believe that you are what others expect of you. But beneath all of that noise, beneath the labels, the conditioning, the fear, is a deeper, quieter truth, your real self. The real you existed long before the world told you who to be. It's the part of you that lit up as a child when you were curious, creative, and unfiltered. It's the part that aches when you betray your own values, even if everyone else approves. It's the voice that whispers, "There's more to life than this," even when everything on the surface seems fine. So how do we access that self again? Start by becoming aware of what's not you. What beliefs have you inherited from others? Maybe you were taught that success means money, marriage, and prestige, but deep down, you value freedom, service, or artistic expression. Maybe you were told to always be nice, but your truth wants to speak up and set boundaries. Start writing down all the things you believe about yourself and ask, who told me this? Is this true? Is this serving me? Spend time alone, not just physically, but emotionally. Create intentional silence. Meditate. Journal. Walk without distraction. Ask yourself questions like, what do I really want? What makes me feel alive? What am I afraid to admit, even to myself? These questions can be uncomfortable. But discomfort is the doorway to clarity. Your truth is often buried under the layers of what you think you should feel, want, or be. Dig gently, patiently. Think about moments in your life when you felt free, grounded, present. Maybe it was creating something, helping someone, being in nature, speaking honestly, laughing without a filter. These are clues, breadcrumbs leading you back to your core identity. When your actions, words, and environment align with your real self, you feel at peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're in integrity. You're not performing, you're simply being. The real you isn't a fixed identity, it's a living truth. Who you are deep down might evolve as you grow. That's okay. You don't need to define yourself rigidly. The goal isn't to label yourself, it's to live in alignment. You're not here to find a static self, but to continuously discover and express your truth in this moment, and the next. Once you get a glimpse of the real you, guard it. Because the world will try to pull you back into conformity. People might not understand. That's okay. You don't owe the world a version of yourself that keeps you small. Your job is not to be liked by everyone, it's to be true to yourself. The more you choose truth, the clearer your identity becomes. Not because you read it in a book, but because you lived it, you felt it, and you honored it. You are not the noise. You are not the fear. You are not the expectations, the masks, or the roles. You are what remains when all of that falls away. You are enough. Let's talk about the invisible jailer, fear. If you've ever wondered why it's so hard to be yourself, why you hesitate to speak your truth, follow your passions, or show up as you are, fear is the answer. Fear is the glue that keeps the false self stuck in place. This fear can take many forms. Fear of rejection. Fear of failure. Fear of success. Fear of judgment. Fear of being too much, or not enough. These fears don't shout, they whisper. They rationalize. They disguise themselves as logic, caution, or even politeness. You might hear it as, "You'll embarrass yourself." Or, "They'll think you're weird." Or, "That dream is unrealistic." It's subtle, but persistent. And it has one goal, to keep you safe. Not fulfilled. Not authentic. Just safe. But here's the paradox, the safety fear promises is actually a cage. A familiar, comfortable cage, but a cage nonetheless. It keeps you living small, quiet, invisible. It trades risk for regret. Fear operates from the past. It remembers the moment you were laughed at for being different. The time you were punished for speaking your mind. The day your vulnerability was met with criticism. These moments taught your nervous system, hide. Don't stand out. Don't try. To break free, we need to stop negotiating with fear as if it's the voice of truth. It's not. It's the voice of protection. And while protection has its place, it shouldn't be the driver of your life. So how do you face fear without letting it run the show? Start by naming it. Say out loud what you're afraid of. Give it shape, color, words. Fear thrives in the shadows. Naming it brings it into the light. Next, trace the root. Ask yourself, where did I learn this fear? Was it from a parent? A teacher? A painful memory? Realizing that most fears are inherited or outdated allows you to begin disidentifying from them. Then take action in small doses. If fear says, "Don't speak up," raise your hand in a meeting. If fear says, "Don't share that post," publish it anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement in spite of it. We'll also introduce the concept of expanding your window of tolerance. This means gradually increasing your capacity to feel fear without shutting down. Meditation, breath work, cold exposure, journaling, these practices help your nervous system handle discomfort without retreating into old patterns. Another exercise, write a letter from your fear to you. Let it speak freely. Then write a letter from your highest, truest self in response. Notice the difference in tone. One is reactive. The other is wise. When you begin to see fear for what it is, not a command, but a signal, you reclaim your agency. You get to decide what your life will be shaped by, fear, or freedom. In the next segment, we'll go deeper into that freedom by discussing values. Because once you move through fear, you need something to guide you. And nothing is more powerful than living in alignment with what truly matters to you. Fear is what keeps you stuck, values are what set you free. Let's say you've begun shedding the false layers. You're starting to face your fears. But what then? How do you know which direction is truly you? That's where values come in. Your core values are the compass of your authentic self. Values aren't just lofty words or motivational slogans. They're the non-negotiable principles that give your life meaning. They help you make decisions, build relationships, and set boundaries. Without them, it's easy to drift, chasing status, approval, or comfort, but never feeling fulfilled. To find your values, begin by asking, what do I stand for? What are the qualities that matter most to you in life? Is it freedom, integrity, creativity, connection, growth, compassion, honesty? If that feels vague, try this. Think of 3 moments in your life when you felt deeply proud, not because of external recognition, but because you were fully aligned with yourself. What were you doing? Who were you with? What value was being honored in that moment? Also, reflect on moments of pain or anger. These often reveal where your values were being violated. For instance, if being dismissed in a conversation enraged you, maybe respect or being heard is a core value. Once you identify your values, write them down. Define them in your own words. For example, if you value freedom, what does that mean to you? Is it creative freedom? Emotional independence? The ability to say no? Next, examine your current life. Where are you living in alignment with those values, and where are you betraying them? Are you in a job that contradicts your value of creativity? In a relationship that suppresses your value of honesty? Living out of sync with your values creates internal conflict. It's like trying to swim upstream every day. Living your values might mean making hard decisions. Saying no when it's easier to say yes. Leaving a safe situation that's killing your soul. But here's the reward: when you align your life with your values, you stop needing external validation. You feel grounded, confident, and clear. One powerful exercise is the values audit. Take 1 week and track your major decisions or activities. At the end of each day, ask, did I honor my values today? Where did I compromise? What could I do differently tomorrow? You'll start noticing patterns, some painful, some empowering. This awareness is key. It helps you course correct in real time. Remember, values aren't about perfection. They're about direction. You will veer off track sometimes. That's okay. The goal is not to be flawless, it's to be aligned more often than not. Living your values might make you different. It might make you misunderstood. But it will make you real. And the more you live in alignment with your values, the more your real self comes alive. In the next segment, we'll explore the roles we play, the identities we adopt to survive, to please, to be loved, and how to release them without losing who we are. You were not born to be someone else's idea of acceptable. But over time, we all pick up roles, masks we wear to belong, to be loved, to survive. The student. The achiever. The peacemaker. The rebel. The strong one. These roles are often born in childhood, shaped by family, culture, trauma, and expectation. And while they may have served a purpose, they become prisons when we cling to them. The false identity is not necessarily a lie you told. It's a truth you never got to live. Let's take a closer look at how these roles develop. As children, we are highly adaptive. If we learned that being quiet got us approval, we became the quiet one. If emotions were punished, we learned to shut them down. If perfection was praised, we chased it endlessly. Over time, we forgot we were playing a part, we believed it was who we were. But your real self isn't a role. It's not something you perform. It's something you are. To start shedding false identities, you need to get honest. What roles are you playing that no longer feel true? Are you always the caretaker, even when you're exhausted? The overachiever, even when you're burned out? The agreeable one, even when you're silently screaming? These roles can be subtle, even noble. But if they're based on fear, duty, or the need for approval, they're not authentic. And they disconnect you from your inner truth. So how do we begin letting go? First, observe without judgment. Notice your behaviors, patterns, and reactions. When do you feel like you're performing? What parts of your life feel heavy, obligatory, fake? Second, ask, who would I be if I didn't need to please anyone? What would I do if I wasn't trying to prove something? This question can be terrifying. Because it opens the door to freedom and responsibility. But it also opens the door to peace. Try this exercise, write down every identity you think you've been given or taken on. Then, one by one, ask, did I choose this? If not, why am I still carrying it? Letting go isn't instant. It's a process. You might mourn parts of your identity that gave you safety or status. That's normal. It means you're evolving. The truth is, you are not your role. You are not your title. You are not who others expect you to be. You are something deeper. Something freer. Something far more powerful. In the next segment, we'll begin reconnecting with that deeper part, through the power of silence, solitude, and inner listening. Because once the false self falls away, the real self begins to whisper. And it's time you started listening. In a world addicted to noise, silence is revolutionary. We fill our lives with sound, podcasts, social media, television, conversations, not because we crave information, but because we fear stillness. Why? Because in the stillness, the truth speaks. And the truth can be unsettling. But if you're serious about finding your real self, you must get quiet. Solitude and silence are not luxuries, they are necessities for authenticity. Let's redefine solitude. It's not loneliness. It's presence with yourself. It's sitting with your thoughts, your fears, your hopes, without distraction. It's where the noise of the world fades, and the whispers of your soul become audible. Here's the problem, many people don't know how to be alone with themselves. They feel restless, anxious, bored. Why? Because solitude exposes all the parts of ourselves we've been avoiding. It brings forward the questions we've buried. Am I happy? What do I really want? Is this the life I chose, or the one I settled for? But here's the truth, those uncomfortable moments are where the real growth begins. Sitting in silence teaches you how to listen, not just to the world, but to yourself. It's in these quiet moments that you'll begin to hear the real you. To practice this, start small. Take 10 minutes a day to unplug completely. No phone. No music. Just you and your thoughts. Sit by a window. Walk in nature. Lie on the floor and breathe. Let your mind wander. Let your heart speak. At first, it may feel awkward. That's okay. Let it feel strange. Let it be raw. Over time, this space becomes sacred. It becomes a meeting place for your inner self. You may begin to notice truths surfacing. I don't want this job. I'm pretending in my relationship. I miss who I used to be. Don't run from those thoughts. Embrace them. They are signs. Messages. They are breadcrumbs leading you back to who you really are. You were never meant to live a scripted life. Break free from the mask and reclaim your truth. Each day is a choice, live for approval, or live for your soul. Because the world doesn't need another copy, it needs the real, unfiltered, unstoppable you.